I think it's amazing what he's doing, that he's stepping up and he's putting his money where his mouth is, just like you said. And I just hope that every other player that's doing that, that's taking a stand, is all about the action behind it. You know, what are you going to do now? You're putting yourself in that sort of spotlight, and people are going to expect to see action. And the fact that when I sat down with Colin, you know, I had a couple hours, just me and him talking, and we talked about the fact that there are a lot of good police officers that do it the right way every day. And these are the type of people that want to move forward too and progress and improve on all these issues, especially the way that a lot of these communities are, you know, interacting with the police. There are certain cities that are doing it the right way. I was fortunate to talk to the chief of police of Dallas yesterday, David Brown, and I mean, that guy, if anybody has a right to kind of weigh in on the issue, considering his background, is him, and he wants to be a part of this too. He would love to sit down, you know, with a group of whether it's athletes or and police officers, people from the communities, and just sort of have a roundtable discussion. And I mean, I would love to be a part of that too. Obviously, James, you're invited, yeah, if you want to come.
I would love to be a part
anyway,
of that.
I mean.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's the key.
Bringing
that's the key.
people together and having this conversation, that's always the, you know, silver lining of any of this stuff that hits the news.
In terms of Mr. Kaepernick, you know, I got to confess that I haven't been thinking about football while I've been over here, and I haven't been following this closely. But you know, my understanding at least is that he's exercising his constitutional right to make a statement. I think there's a long history of sports figures doing so. I think there are a lot of ways you can do it. As a general matter, when it comes to the flag and the national anthem and the meaning that that holds for our men and women in uniform and those who fought for us, you know, that is a tough thing for them to get past, to then hear what his deeper concerns are. But I don't doubt his sincerity based on what I've heard. I think he cares about some real, legitimate issues that have to be talked about. And you know, if nothing else, what he's done is he's generated you know, more conversation around some topics that need to be talked about.
The fairest criticism may be that he put his teammates and his team and his organization in a rough spot. This isn't what Jim Brown did. This isn't what Muhammad Ali did. A little different for Ali because it was a solo sport. But what's your take on it?
Well, I think that's probably the toughest avenue of it for me to speak on, because I played an individual sport. So for me, really the only regret, I tried to play my career having no regrets. The only regret I have is that I didn't speak out more. I didn't talk about social issues and really get involved because I was so singularly focused. And I think for him, he made this choice that this is bigger than football, and this is something where he feels he does need to use his voice for a greater good, to hold the country or the powers that be accountable for what he sees as a problem in our country. And if that puts his teammates under more scrutiny, I don't know if he spoke to them personally. I can't really speak to the team aspect of it, but for him to speak out and use his voice, I do think that's a great thing. That's not unpatriotic in any way to me. To me, it seems very patriotic to hold America to a higher standard, to want it to be better. I mean, I think we're in a country where we've got an entire campaign slogan to make America great again, and that's not seen as unpatriotic when you're holding the country to a higher standard. You want things to be better.
Did the disrespect of the country that people read into not standing for the anthem wind up overpowering the message of we need more progress?
Yeah, and I think that's a chance he was taking, whether or not people will see it that way, how they're going to react. And I think you don't know that. But for me, a protest gets people speaking. This is a topic I've been approached about it and talked to a lot of people just you know, around coffee tables very much in the last few days. So I think he's accomplished that mission. So that's good that people are talking about it. Whether it could have been done a little bit better, in a more respectful way, that I don't know. I don't know. People have said, oh, he should have done it a different way. Well, I don't know of another way he could have gotten this many people talking about it. And I think the way he did it in you know, the protest, a song that in its third verse that we don't sing anymore, it actually advocates the killing of slaves. So I think his message is one that it does strike a chord and it strikes a nerve with some people. But I feel like he's been given that right to do that.
Our sports lead now, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick defending his decision to sit down during the national anthem at a preseason game Friday night, seen here in this photo. It's a personal stand Kaepernick hopes will call attention to discrimination and oppression of the black community.
This is because I'm seeing things happen to people that don't have a voice, people that don't have a platform to talk and have their voices heard and affect change. So I'm in a position where I can do that, and I'm going to do that for people that can't.
Several fans responded by burning his jersey in protest.
You should never play another down in the NFL again. Move to Canada.
Kaepernick says he will continue to sit during the Star-Spangled Banner going forward. Playing the national anthem at sporting events is said to have started at the 1918 World Series to honor World War I veterans. So perhaps it's not surprising that many military families have reacted strongly to Kaepernick's decision. Among them, Terry Johnson, a Gold Star mother who lost her son, Sergeant Joseph Johnson, in an IED attack in Afghanistan back in 2010. Mrs. Johnson wrote a very strongly worded Facebook post over the weekend that has gotten a lot of attention. And joining me now is Terry Johnson. Terry, first of all, most importantly, we are so sorry for your loss, and we honor your son, Sergeant Joseph Johnson, and his service and the sacrifice that you and your family have given to this country. This is a show that tries to give voice to veterans and their families.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you had a very emotional and maybe even visceral reaction to Kaepernick's decision. Tell us about it.
When I read that he said he couldn't stand for a flag that he didn't have pride in, right away my heart kind of stopped and I lost my breath, because the flag that I see is the flag that draped my son's casket in honor. And I see the flag that was handed to my husband and I with deep respect from a grateful nation. When I look at the flag, I see the best of us.
I can certainly understand your strong feelings about this. I tweeted out your statement yesterday. I heard a lot of support from a lot of people, also some respectful disagreement. One of the pushbacks was this notion that your son, a hero, died in no small way for the right of free speech, which is a right that's tested when it comes to unpopular opinions. In other words, some of these people were saying that Colin Kaepernick was, in some ways, the embodiment of the freedoms for which your son so bravely and selflessly risked and gave his life. Can you see why some people might see it that way?
I can understand that, and we do have freedom of speech. That is a right. Wisdom of speech is a responsibility.
So Kaepernick says he has no intention of dishonoring you or any other families who have lost loved ones fighting for this country. Specifically, his explanation for the NFL Network that he stayed seated during the anthem was because, quote, "I'm not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football. It would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street, people getting paid leave and getting away with murder." Now, one of the other pushbacks I got on Twitter, Terry, was that there are other grieving moms out there, and while their sons were not heroes like your son, fighting in a far-off land, they are also grieving moms because their sons were innocently and wrongly killed by law enforcement. If one of them were here and said to you, "Hey, Kaepernick wasn't standing up against your son, he was standing up for my son," what would you say to that?
My response would be that, yes, you have the right to sit down. Sitting down is something that is easy to do, but standing up and stepping forward is something that's hard to do. And what I would like to see is, if you really see oppression when you look at the flag, then make it your mission to be proud of it. Do something, make a difference, so that when you look at that flag, you show pride and you feel hope and possibilities. We have it within ourselves to do that. And he has such a large reach that if he wanted to truly make a difference and truly be proud, he could do that.
Do you think it's fair if he were to respond by saying that this is what he's doing to try to make a difference? Obviously, it's nothing like what your son did, but that this is his way of trying to spark a debate and spark discussion and improve the country?
In improving the country, I think that's a great mission. Positive words, positive actions result in positive words and positive actions. So instead of saying what's wrong and telling us how everything is oppressive, I agree that we have a lot of work to do, but let's try to do it in a positive manner, support each other.
Terry Johnson, thank you so much. And as always, our thoughts and our prayers are with you and your family, and our deepest condolences on the loss of Joseph.
Thank you.